Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, economic managers want the additional tax on fuel in 2019 to push through.
It is expected that the target inflation rate will be met in spite of the fact that the second tranche of train will be implemented.
This after a recommendation from Congress to suspend it.
Why are we pushing through with the increase? Habang klaro naman na hindi pa naman nararamdaman ng mga tao yung pagbaba ng presyo ng bilihin.
Also, the president wants to sign next year's budget sooner rather than later.
There's nothing to be scared of. Everything will happen.
But can lawmakers assure it's pork barrel free? Senate Majority Leader Migz Zubiri joins us live. And later, is it a yes or a no? 8 senatorial candidates weigh in on the country's most pressing issues. That's for today's In Focus.
This program is brought to you by Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. Lawmakers are confident that they will pass the proposed 2019 budget. This after concerns from the administration's economic team that the country may resort to a reenacted budget. Also, the Senate's take on the proposal to push through with the additional tax on fuel next year. And will the Senate favor another extension of martial law in Mindanao? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We're also going to talk about the achievements of the Senate. Senate Majority Leader, Senator Migz Zubiri. Senator, welcome back to the show.
Nice to be back.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Why are you wearing maroon?
Because we have a game on Wednesday.
Di ba
I have
masyadong-
to cheer for a team. You know,
Di ba
they always
masyadong
make me
advance?
kanchao the last few days, but I said, it's been 32 years.
Ito.
The last time we won a championship, I was freshman college, 86 in
Benji
UPLB. It was Benji
Paras
Paras
days,
and Jolie Pa was our coach. Imagine how long ago that was. So it's a big deal for many of us UP alumni.
The plan is what? To wear maroon from now till?
Till we win, hopefully. I know it's difficult because my wife is Ateneo. So, you know, last Saturday, I was kind of in a bad mood because she was rubbing it in. But it's okay.
At
I mean,
least-
I believe it's hopefully it's our time this time.
Yeah, so Wednesday will be a very exciting time,
Yes.
exciting day rather, because of the game 2.
Yes.
If UP wins, that pushes that to game 3. If not,
I mean, do or die, we just have to give it our best. I
Exactly.
mean, our kids are, the kids are really good. So, you know what? We've reached this far. We got to cheer them on. So, hopefully I'll be able to watch on Wednesday as well.
all right, so let's talk about the budget. 2019 budget, the question is, sir, first it was we will pass it by first week of February. And then there is a schedule that you may finish it by December. What is the timeline now?
Well, you know, let me put it in proper perspective, because people are now saying, why are the senators dilly-dallying in the budget? We're not dilly-dallying on the budget. As a matter of fact, it was just submitted to us last week. It should have been submitted to us as early as first week of November. Usually, before there's a break in October, and the budget usually submitted to us during that break, wherein we still get to deliberate it, we still discuss it with the different departments and work out the hearings with the departments. Technically, Binky, it does not emanate from us. The budget comes from the House. It's a constitutional, it's a mandate of the House written in the Constitution that they act on the budget and then they pass it on to the Senate. People don't understand that. So now we're just given, 2 weeks? Technically, we're just given 2 weeks to debate on a budget that's 3 books of this much, this wide and this thick. So we are looking at trying to pass the budget within this short period of time. And initially, when we discussed it with our colleagues last week, when it arrived at our office with an all-member caucus, the plan really was to extend, because it was so difficult for us to be able to debate on it intelligently and comprehensively and be able to come up with a budget. So that's why we looked at a possible February signing of the president.
First week of Feb,
First
yeah.
week. So Malacanang, we were set on that. And Malacanang, through Secretary Jokno, paid us a visit last Wednesday rather, and basically said, gentlemen, ladies, we have a problem, because if we do this, then although we have a reenacted budget, it may give us problems on the salary increases of soldiers, of policemen, because they're supposed to be in line for salary increases in the first quarter. And also, the build projects will be affected. Why? Because it's an election year. According to him, it's fine if it wasn't an election year, because right after the budget is signed on February 1, for example, then they can already bid the projects and we can go build. The thing is, on February 6, if I'm not mistaken, February 7 is the start of the election campaign season, there will be an election ban, and therefore no projects can be bidded out. So what's going to happen is you have a situation where it will be after the elections, which is June, before you can actually bid that, and it's rainy season. So sabi niya, rainy season, the slippage will be so big in terms of when you say slippage, it's basically the efficiency of the contract. When you bid it, it's supposed to be built right away. If it's delayed, that's what you call slippage on the projects. So with that, he told us to reconsider. So
he urged you guys to reconsider?
We appealed. None of them urged. We're equal branches and we respect each other. But he was saying, please, we really need to pass the budget. So Senator Soto, in that meeting, it was myself, Senator Soto, Senator Lawrence, Senator Cheese, and Senator Ralph Recto. And we said, you know, we at the leadership can, what we can promise you is we'll work 12-hour days. In other words, we'll start on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Ma'am Lauren is going to sponsor the budget tomorrow. And the succeeding days will start at 10 a.m. up to 10 p.m., even up to 12 midnight.
Okay.
So we can have 12-hour, 14-hour days, all the way till December 12, up to 13. So we're going to try to be able to ask all the questions, or my colleagues will be asking all the questions they need in the budget, but we'll be working these long hours. So we also agree that if the budget is to be discussed at this hour of this department and you're not there, sorry na lang. So you have to be there. I mean, let's be responsible about that.
Because you're working on a tight schedule.
Yes, and we have to be responsible about this.
Do you feel, though, that you know, there is fault here? Because we spoke to Majority Leader Rolando Andaya, and he was saying that, you know, we were ready to pass the budget. The problem was there was, of course, that 51 billion pesos allotment that they were asking the economic managers to answer, Budget Secretary Ben Diokno for that. And ang sabi daw niya, the number you call is not available. Parang dinededma daw siya is actually what he really meant about that. So is there anyone to blame for this? Because you're saying that they passed it in the Senate about, from my readings, it was about November 20 or November 21.
Last Monday. Basically last Monday, and that just gave us enough time to be able to read all the amendments that they did in the House. Technically it would have been impossible, because technically we would have had to have hearings with all government agencies. Buti na lang we did it. It's sort of like a pre-budget hearing. What we do is an unofficial budget hearing before the budget actually is delivered to us. So,
inunahan nyo na?
Inunahan na namin. Buti na lang. October pa lang, we met na with the DOE, the DOH, DOF, all the different departments and the budgets. Yeah, and so, inunahan na namin. But technically, if they gave it to us last Monday and we had to have hearings with all the different departments, it would have been impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. So what we're doing is a bit of above and beyond our call of duty at this point in time, but we need to do it because aside from that, also the pensions are in I think are in limbo, because on January we're supposed to increase the pensions of the soldiers and military former military personnel, and you know, we were getting feedback from online and social media that, oh, hindi na namin matatanggap yung aming pensions for this quarter. Kawawa naman. So again, we're going to do what we call best effort. We'll work 12-hour days, 14-hour days. We'll try our best and extend if we have to extend. But the question there is, will the House be willing to extend? Because we have to ratify it. And to ratify it, there must be sessions of both houses of Congress. In other words, Senate and the House of Representatives.
Okay, so when do you think you'll finish this? Hopefully in the Senate's part.
Yes, we're hopefully we're hoping that December 12 we're done with the debates and vote on it on second and third reading. We're looking at maybe December 13 for a BICAM, one day. I don't know if we can do a one-day BICAM, but the ball is up to them once we pass it. And then probably by the 14th, 15th, or even afternoon of the 14th, we can pass it and ratify it.
questions on the budget, sir, possibly would be, could there be any conflict in this supposed millions of pesos allotted to each congressman and millions of pesos allotted to senators? It's Congressman Rolando Andaya, also Senator Ping Lacson, who earlier said that he saw about 50 or 60 million pesos of what he calls pork. Whatever you call it, he says it's still pork. Congressman Andaya saying it's really allotment and congressmen are not allowed to touch this after the budget has been passed. Let's listen exactly to what Congressman Andaya said.
The districts were allotted a certain amount equally.
Is it 60 million pesos, sir?
I'm not yet sure of the final amount. It will still undergo the BICAM. Of course, the Senate will have to have their own say in this. It's not a lump sum. We are compliant with the Supreme Court decision, and that the legislature, the Senate and the House cannot interfere in the post-enactment phase of a budget.
Are you saying that the 2019 budget is pork barrel free?
Yes.
So there lies the confusion. When you talk to Senator Ping Lacson or listen to his texts, watch it and look into online reports, he's saying no matter what you call it, it's still pork.
Well, technically, we have to comply with what the Supreme Court has said. First of all, the senators do not have a pork barrel or an allotment. In fairness to Senator Legarda, she's never said, oh, you have 300 million or you have 200 million in the budget for you to play around with. It's never like that. In our case, in the Senate, it's a totally different story because we have advocacies. And advocacies is what you call institutional amendments. When you say institutional amendments, for example, Senator JV, his passion is transportation.
Railways.
His passion is also the modernization of the PNP through giving them new choppers and all that. So I clearly recall in the last budget, he allotted, or he was able to realign some of the funds with the help of the Chairman of Finance to add budget to the PNP to buy the the combat helicopters that the PNP has today. So how can you consider that pork barrel? That's what you call an institutional amendment. And also, some of us, we put funds into the DOH for construction of hospitals and things like that. And basically...
Not just in your respective districts.
No, all over the country.
Because,
anywhere the country.
You're elected nationally.
Correct. So those are what you call institutional amendments. I think those are harmless. They're not harmful. I don't consider them pork because it has the approval of the department head. Yeah, and DBM and the department.
Agencies, yes.
Yeah, because they're the ones who ask for it. For example, I added.
Yung sa inyo po.
For example, I added last year. I added a budget of 200 million to UPLB for their dormitory facilities for the postgraduate school, postgrad school. I don't think that's considered a pork barrel because that's an institutional amendment. We're helping the university on a facility that they sorely need. So I don't consider that pork. Now, maybe what could be considered pork, ang mga basketball court, kung ano, mga soft waiting sheds and stuff like that. But then again, I don't want to fault the congressmen because they're really representing a district.
Okay.
I've been a congressman before at inaaraw-arawan kami ng tao dyan. They ask for this, they ask for that. And basically, you look inutil if you won't be able to provide some projects for them.
So here's the question. Do you have about 200 million pesos each for this institutional amendments that you call it?
We're not given. Senator Lauren has never said this is the amount, this is that. It could even be higher, Pinky, because depending on what institutional amendment. For example, we want to help PGH.
Right.
And we want to add 1 billion pesos to the PGH for their facilities. There's nothing wrong with that. And for example, last year, me and Senator Lauren helped the DTI on what we call the shared service facility. It's giving the cooperatives all over the country the equipment to be able to produce their goods more efficiently. We added 1 billion pesos to that fund. That's an institutional amendment.
Okay.
That's not considered, for me, I don't consider that a pork barrel. What is important, Pinky, to close really on this topic, is that the money should not be stolen. It should not be misused. That is the key. That is the key. Because all these institutional amendments are good for the department or for the agency that you're helping.
Huwag lang magkaroon ng kickback.
Huwag lang magkaroon ng kickback. Andiyan ang dapat makulong. Yung dapat makulong.
We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still to come, extending martial law in Mindanao. Senator Migz Zubiri shares his thoughts after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, Senate Majority Leader Senator Migz Zubiri. So, okay, so it doesn't really matter. There's no fixed amount on this. It could be actually anything. It
Yes,
could be 200 million, it could be 800 million.
Well, that's the power of Congress. They have the power of the purse. I mean, I've said this I said in this Kapihan sa Senado last week. Why are you going to bring? Why is it in the Constitution pa that we cannot make amendments to the budget? I mean, what for? All my colleagues, they have their advocacies, whether it's health, education, and all that.
Infrastructure.
If that's the case, that we shouldn't touch the president's budget, dapat we should amend the Constitution to say the DBM will be in charge of the budget and hindi na dumaan sa Congress. Ano yung gagawin pa na? Titignan na lang namin yung libro, di ba? I mean, tapos na.
Yeah.
So we really want to make sure that the budget it will give efficient service to our people and not the other way around. We do not want to amend the budget to make it more difficult for services to reach the people. That's important.
Okay, next topic, excise tax. The economic managers are now saying they're recalling their earlier recommendation to suspend the implementation of excise tax, sir.
That's not right. You're being like an Indian giver. I mean, it's not right. I know the fuel prices are low, are down.
Going down.
Are going down. And, but, you know, they promised 1 quarter. What is 1 quarter, right? It's 3 months. I think it would be a good sign to the people that that the economic managers are receptive to the problems of inflation. We have to see the new inflation numbers right now, if it's gone down. Of course, I know rice has gone down, the fuel has gone down dramatically, but still, I think it would be a good exercise on their part to show good faith. And I said 1 quarter. Why don't they just comply with the 1 quarter suspension?
Is the Senate planning to do anything about this? I know there's already a joint resolution on this, sir.
There's a joint resolution.
Yeah.
We'll stick to the joint resolution. I don't think we're going to recall the joint resolution. We have a all-member caucus today, so we'll be discussing the budget, and definitely that topic will be coming up, and we'll probably decide as a group as well.
Could there possibly be, is there such a thing as a stronger joint resolution or confirming your earlier commitment to ask Malacanang to suspend the
We will see what our
implementation?
persuasive powers are. But, you know, in fairness to the economic managers, they're also trying to do their job.
Yeah.
They feel that because the fuel prices have gone down, they're losing money also from the excise tax on fuel. Because, of course, the higher the fuel prices are, the higher they collect. The lower the prices are, the lower they collect. So they're probably worried also on the impact on the build projects next year.
That's exactly what they said, sir. Martial law extension in Mindanao, what are your thoughts on that? Should it be extended?
You know, I just came home yesterday from Cagayan de Oro. I go there almost every weekend. I brought my whole family. And it really is much safer with all these checkpoints around. I like the checkpoints. It's not like the checkpoints before na nakaupo lang sila, dadaan-daan ka lang. You know, now they really
Baka
check
naman
my
kasi ikaw yung
flashlight.
parating.
Hindi,
Baka maganda yung kotse
lahat
mo.
talaga naka-traffic. It's a bit, the only complaint is a bit of traffic. But you know, when you get to the checkpoint, you have to open your window, and 2 guys, both sides, will look into your car and see if you have firearms and if you're like suspicious characters and that. For me, we like that. As residents, we like that. But nevertheless, this is a big issue because having tag that you're under martial law, of course, affects direct investments. You know, we don't want to invest there because you're in martial law. And of course, tourism. People don't want to go there because it's perceived to be a martial law area. But so far, my experience, it's been good. Peace and order has gone down. I mean, peace and order situation has been better, strengthened. Crimes have gone down. But we still need to have a briefing from the security specialists of government, security officials of government. And we're expected to have that briefing this week because we're having the DND budget and the DILG budget discussed, I believe, on Thursday or on Friday this week. So we're having another all-member caucus.
So
for
you're
that.
still 50-50 about this because I'm hearing 2 sides, sir, that it's good for peace and order, it's good that there are checkpoints, but of course it brings about a negative impact when you find out that a certain place is under martial law.
Showing the 2 sides, it has a negative impact in terms of investments, investor confidence, in terms of tourism. But on a high note, as I said, I'm coming from Mindanao, peace and order has been much better this time, and we feel safer when we go out at night. When we go out with your families, you feel much safer. So, there's a right now, because there's a lot of police presence and military presence, and people are afraid, baka naman nag-aabuso itong mga to, may abuse. But in fairness, we've not, in our part
Have
of
you
Northern
heard
Mindanao,
anything, sir?
nothing at all. Nothing at all. And, well, there are some maybe arrests and raids on some suspected terrorists and stuff like that you see in Facebook. But other than that, they don't go around kicking people around. Manipatan ng tao, yung mga they start kicking people around. No, they don't. That's the thing of the past. That's a thing of the 70s. So it's much, much more different now, especially that we are now online, on time, real time now. Everybody's got their smartphones. So the military and police are much, much more, I'd say, respectful of the rights of people. So, but I'm leaning towards an extension.
You are leaning towards.
I'm leaning towards an extension, but I need a briefing to fully arm me or educate me with what should be done still.
What about the death squad that the president is
I'm not
suggesting?
in favor of that, because that's not the job of the military and the police. That is similar to an extrajudicial killing. We are not in the business of having assassination squads. We are supposed to be a civilized government. But I understand the position of the president on this. He probably is speaking from sheer frustration. When you talk to the president about peace and order situations and drugs, he really gets passionate about it. And sometimes, and we know him because he's our neighbor in Bukidnon. And so, in all his speeches, he's really like that. Nagmumura talaga siya, nagagalit siya, and medyo extreme yung language niya, and extreme yung methods niya on how to get it done. It's like he'd like to maybe bomb a fly. If the problem is a fly, he'll bomb it to smithereens. So basically, that's the style of the president. So I'm looking at the frustrations probably he feels at that time as his reason for coming out and saying that. But definitely, I'm not in favor of such a move.
What about federalism for now? Is it dead in the Senate, or
we don't have time? I mean, we don't even have time for the budget. With 14-hour days in the budget, definitely it's not something we'll be discussing this year.
Okay, definitely not this year. I want to talk about very briefly the Senate achievements, sir, this year, and the priorities for next year, being an election year. I
would like to announce to everybody that we've had a great run this last 4 months. We passed universal health care. It's going to be a law soon. SSS charter amendments to strengthen the SSS charter. We also strengthened the Cooperative Development Authority charter. We also passed the Department of Housing, first-time job seekers law, rice statification. This week we're going to ratify the law. Supplemental budget of the Dingvasia is being heard now, the BICAM. Philippine Coconut Authority, charter strengthening. We also have the student discounts, Tax Amnesty Act. We already passed the tax amnesty law. We're actually going to be in a BICAM very soon. We can have BICAMs during the debates on the budget.
Also.
Very important.
Okay.
The new Central Bank Act, also, we have passed it. The Lifetime Cell Phone Number Act. We passed amendments to the Corporation Code by Senator Frank Drilon. As I mentioned earlier, the Social Security Act. And these are
National ID also, di ba?
National ID, we passed that, but I wasn't the majority
leader. You're talking about
I have no bragging rights on those other bills that we passed in the past.
Also, pero yung bragging rights
yung quantitative import on rice, also, that's very important to bringing down rice costs.
Ganito na, one last question, sir. What is the priority next year? Aside from the budget, if you are not able to pass it this year, what would be the priority legislation next year?
Well, we're looking at some more revenue measures that are not inflationary.
Such as?
Well, the House has just passed the tobacco and increasing the excise tax on tobacco and alcohol. So that will be falling on our lap. We're going to have to discuss it, whether we agree to it or not.
All right.
But because, what we want to do now is tackle bills to raise revenue for government that are non-inflationary, hindi apektado masang Pilipino.
Hindi tataas ang presyo ng pangunahing bilihin. That's
Correct.
what you're saying.
Yan ang
Senator, well, good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck on your marathon hearings. Let's see if the Senate and Congress, well, both houses of Congress, will be able to pass the 2019 budget of 3.757 trillion.
That's absolutely correct. You know the number better than me.
Senator, thank you so much, sir, and good luck. This is the source on CNN Philippines. When we return, is it a yes or a no? See, he's not part of that because he just won. Senator Migz Zubiri. Senatorial bets weigh in on national issues in the first CNN Philippines Senatorial Forum. That's for today's In Focus.